Hey guys, what's going on and welcome back to the Foundry. I'm JB here with Kryptonican and we're reviewing the next episode of Ahsoka. We're on episode 5, Shadow Warrior. And holy shit, dude! This one was pretty good.
This one had a ton of shit, dude. It was good.
Yeah, I got very excited. There was a bunch of stuff that I'm like, I don't know why this was even here or why they needed it, but it was fucking cool, man. It was, man, all that Clone Wars flashback shit is like
dude,
fucking so good. It's
yeah,
been
in
so
live
long.
action like that?
Yeah, live action. It's been so long since we've seen like live action Phase goddamn 1 clone armor, you know? Which you've got the fucking the Attack of the Clones, you know, CG mess of like those clones. But like oh, so cool.
They did a lot of I was not expecting what happened in this episode to happen. We had a whole bunch of shit, a lot of good flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were really good with the costume design too. Like they were spot on with like how Ahsoka looked in those different time periods, like Anakin too with the shorter hair, the longer hair.
Oh,
like,
he looked
great.
fantastic. Apparently, that actress that played Ahsoka, she was in the Barbie movie. She was the little kid in the Barbie movie, and she was also Baby Gamora and Endgame, which I
saw that as well.
Yeah,
I saw that in someone else's video. I was like, damn, no wonder she looked familiar. I was like, she did a great job. I was like,
she did.
Props to her for pulling off that role, because that's not an easy one to pull off, and she did quite a good job.
Yeah, she did. It was like literally they took the Clone Wars and they like just moved it to the big screen. That's all they did. They made it like gave it such a great presentation
with a ton of fog.
Yes, dude. We gotta talk about how they fucking film these goddamn shows now. Like how they film them. It's like just the disembodied. Like I cannot focus on what's happening on my screen sometimes because it's just I just focus on the background. Like, I get it. Like, you don't want to see the background because they're too lazy to animate what the fuck's going on in the background. And it's like, goddamn, like, how difficult is it to have a set of a bunch of destroyed buildings or something? Like, how fucking hard is it? Are you telling me that Disney cannot make a couple of destroyed fucking buildings, dude? Like,
it's interesting that they went with that direction because, like, both of the places that they picked were, like, stuff that we saw in the show. I think the first one was when they had one of their first missions, like saving a bunch of the Twi'leks on their home planet, and then the other one was on Mandalore.
Yeah, they said the Siege of Mandalore. You're right.
Yeah, so it was like
you have a location, you have inspiration, you know what to make. They just chose not to. They're just like, we're gonna have things revolving around us and not interacting with us mid-fight, and it's gonna look so disembodied and just kind of. Weird. Like it was cool, right? But I was just like, you can do. It's just so fucking.
It was an
annoying.
interesting choice to play devil's advocate. I wonder if they did it. I wonder if it was supposed to be a stylistic choice, like because of her memory was cloudy.
No,
and
lazy.
For us to focus...
No, you're actually 100% right because, like,
to focus on
the
Anakin
Siege, for sure. They said that like they weren't even a part of there, so like they shouldn't have even been there. So like, there's nothing to interact with them because they aren't actually there. They're just like Ghost of Christmas Past in it, you know.
A little bit, yeah, and just the fact that nothing else in the moment really mattered besides what was in the center.
Right.
So, because I thought both. Well, like, in the moment, I was like, man, like, it threw me out, like, it pulled me out of the episode a little bit when I saw all the fog. I'm like, why is it so foggy? This feels weird. Because, like, nothing ever in Clone Wars was ever this foggy. So, wherever they are right now, at first I didn't realize until I started to see some, like, Twi'leks. But then I was like, They've done all of this. Like there shouldn't be that much that needs to be foggy right now. But then later on, I was thinking, I guess it was supposed to limit our focus a little bit. But it ended up it counterbalanced itself a little bit because it did draw your attention in, but it also it distracted me a bit because it was so weird to have it so foggy.
Yeah, I feel like they
so
definitely
it was a bit of a mix.
It. They fucking was Ocarina of Time the fuck out of that.
Yeah,
where they have all the goddamn fog.
It was
but
cool. I am very happy with the costumes.
Oh yeah,
it
was great. It was fucking fantastic. I'm glad in my lifetime I was able to see that shit on the screen. I'm glad that Anakin is I'm glad he's getting the love that he very much so deserves and shit. Because even starting out with YouTube and joking 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, people were still shitting on him. The prequels were still a joke, and now everyone's just sucking the mad dick at the prequels, which is great. I love the prequels anyways, but it's just
dude.
The dude can breathe in a Star Wars movie and everyone's gonna lose their fucking mind on the internet.
Yep.
But he was fantastic in this, I love seeing Rageful Anakin and like the slow burn. And it's
Yep.
just like the back and forth, his eyes as well, so intimidating. Losing him like to the dark side as a whole story arc throughout the trilogy and the Clone Wars is such a heartbreaking like just kind of story, anyways. And it's so cool to see him again and just hear him talk and interact with Ahsoka, because there's like so many things that are left unsaid between these two characters of like what they experience even throughout like the original trilogy, you know, because they're fucking, he's Darth Vader and she's doing shit too, and like I don't like, we talked about this a minute ago, is that actually Anakin? Is that a Force ghost? Is that all in her fucking head?
Yeah, it is a very interesting question, because like no doubt about it, where she was definitely real. I mean, we've seen that in other stuff before. They couldn't find her body,
yeah,
so she had to be somewhere. So she was definitely there. Whether Anakin was there as like a manifestation of her own like mind to like, you know, help her get through her whatever she needed to get through to like become a better Jedi, become enlightened, because you know that's what essentially that whole thing served as, her like reawakening to some degree and like moving to the next step of being like a Jedi or a Force wielder. But it's hard to tell if he was actually like, you know, there as a Force ghost or what, because there's nothing to like ground that in reality to some degree, because it's so detached from reality. It's just like magic-y Force stuff, you know. It's hard to tell what's real.
It is very difficult, because this is the first time in Star Wars I think that we've seen like a character and I'm assuming whatever Force ghost, whatever Anakin was, like go back in time and like look at a, I guess, place in time or something like that, an event, and like walk around as if they were like, if their minds were in those bodies. That's what I was like kind of acting as, because at first I thought like, at first she's like, okay, she's aware, it's like, this is the Clone Wars. I'm like, this is like contemporary like Ahsoka mind and little Ahsoka body, you know. And she's like, this is a Clone Wars, and Anakin replied like, yeah, duh, it is, like, are you joking? And I'm like, the way he was replying, like, this is old school Anakin, like mind and body, like he is like in the zone and shit like that. He is not fucking like Darth Vader Force ghost dead. And then they started to interact some more, and then it got flipped and turned around. I'm like, okay, like that's Force ghost mind. And then she's crying over a body. She's like, they were my orders. I'm like, this is like the actions and mind of a child now, like of her like emotional state. Like they just kind of flipping, and they weren't very consistent with it too. And I really like the flashback sequence. I think it was really dope. I don't know if it's just me because I love the Clone Wars stuff, but just a lot of it didn't make a whole lot of sense. And
it was a little confusing. I agree.
I was very confused. Not the things I'm complaining about have a huge fucking like I guess they determined whether it was good or bad or what you're supposed to take away from it, but it was still just very
but it's
odd.
what we noticed, you know.
Yeah.
We get nitpicky here sometimes. I mean, because I was confused too. Like the general sentiment of what was going on was understood. She had something to learn, and she learned it. How that actually happened, it wasn't quite clear to me. Like, I wasn't sure that she actually learned something, because it felt the whole time like she didn't really have a choice. Maybe I missed something, but it was like live or die. It's like, of course she's gonna live, and she's gonna have to fight you back. Like, what did you expect her to do? Just like sit there and take your lightsaber and cut her head off or something? Like, of course she's gonna fight. But maybe it was more of a, you know, don't go down the same path as me sort of a thing, where she's always worried that she could also turn to the dark side just as much as Anakin did, and maybe that's what was eating at her, and that was the thing she was learning, was, you know, to fight back against the dark side more. I don't know.
Where the hell was he during Kylo Ren's bullshit of him trying to go down the dark side? Where the fuck was that, huh?
Yeah, Kylo Ren was praising you. Where were you as a Force ghost, telling him what to do, man? Come on. But
what?
Yeah.
So she learned something. Ken, what did she learn? What did Ahsoka learn here? I would love to know.
That's a great question. I'm not quite sure.
I
guess she grappled with her, like, stepping away from Anakin. She did that whole thing where a Jedi's got to go from Padawan to Jedi Knight. 'Cause she never did that as as a youngling. She stepped away from the council, from the Jedi Order, before actually becoming a Jedi Knight. So I think that's what that was supposed to be. It was still a little confusing to me because like we were talking earlier, and she literally comes out of it as like she Gandalf the whole thing. Like she went from Gandalf the Gray to Gandalf the White. She had gray clothes when she fell down.
She looked
and then
more
she came
pure
back recovered
and clear
and white. Yeah.
She had a little emotion in this episode as well. She looked like she was kind of high or out of it, like she went on some like trip, and then she came back like more clear-minded, and she's like, and even Hugh Yang's like, oh, what if the whales don't take us where we need to go? She's like, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
It's all
yeah,
good.
She was.
So you want to hit this? Like,
that is such a high person thing. She's like, I don't know, man. We're gonna see where the world takes us.
It's like, okay, it's.
I mean, it's like I guess her like letting go of her like, anxiety or anything. Like she's at the mercy of the Force now.
Exactly.
She's become one with the Force more, so to speak. So
I just would like to know
she trusts it.
What got her there, and that flashback, that'd be pretty cool. What the only thing, like, they kind of are arguing, Anakin and her arguing, and he's like, I'm teaching you what my master taught me. It's like it's a legacy, and you'll teach your Padawan someday. And she's like, you taught death and destruction, and it's like, he's like, you're still not getting the point. I'm like, okay, but like, that's
what is
what,
the?
like,
I'm also confused.
Like, tell me what the fuck the point is that you left off and you didn't continue your fucking sentence.
Yeah,
that's why I'm still like kind of confused.
It was a little confusing because he was saying like, I've taught you, like all of what I know is in you, like all that I know or something. And she was like, but all you taught me was how to fight. And he was like, I'm more than that. And I was like, okay, but does she know that? Like, I mean, it's kind of true. All you did teach her was how to fight. But I guess what he's trying to say is, through that, you also learned a bunch of other stuff or something. Like you also became more knowledgeable in the Force and all this shit. Even though you were in the time learning just how to fight a lot, there was more to that than just fighting, I guess. I think maybe, I don't know.
It's hard.
Maybe someone smarter than me can analyze this.
Yeah, if someone wants to let us know, like in the comments, what actually transpired. Like I said, it's not the big. Well, actually, that part is. It is very, very important. Like, what is she going into this new fight with? Like, I'm assuming
it's a pivotal part.
I agree. This show has been very confusing. A lot.
A little bit.
I've noticed in the last episode, like even with the Inquisitor passing or being defeated, we had no idea what the fuck was going on. Also, I never thought in a million years that they would just be like, all right, just go up in the atmosphere and there's the whales that can travel between worlds. I was like...
True. After she came back, I was like, oh, the episode's almost done. And then there's...
It dragged.
Then,
not in a bad thing, though.
It wasn't... But it was more than I expected, because it felt like after that was like a decent stopping point. And then it kept going. I was like, where are they going to decide to stop this episode? Because obviously they still have to find, Sabine and Ezra. But I was like, no way they're going to do that in this episode. But then they did. And I was like, oh, okay. So we're just going to come out, figure out an alternate plan and immediately implement it. Go try to talk to these space whales and do it. And I was like, okay. I mean, I'm down for that, but I was not expecting that at all in this episode. I was fully expecting them to use the world between worlds to somehow get to there. Not this, but I mean, I wasn't disappointed by it.
Not at all.
There was a lot of cool Forcey stuff. We even got to see Jason like use the Force a bit. That was actually kind of cool. That got me a little hype. I was like, dude, as someone who's seen
next
Rebels
generation,
and shit,
baby.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool. Like he's like stepping up. He understands like there's more to this, and he's reaching out to the Force. It's a new beginning for him. It felt nostalgic almost, because it was like it was all like mystical Forcey. Like there wasn't a whole lot of explanation. He just knew through the Force that there was something going on here, and he was like, Mom, like trust me, like I can feel this.
I got my Force,
like,
baby.
Hell yeah. That was some good shit.
He's like, I can't explain it, but just trust me. Like, okay, writer of the show. Like, I give you subliminal messaging. That part was really cool. I fucking knew it. I said that last episode too. I said I knew that they weren't gonna fucking like follow up with the story. I knew there was gonna be like some flashbacky kind of thing like that was gonna be centered around the episode. Like I'm so happy I'm right, because I'm like, I've got this fucking this Star Wars shit down, man, of how they fucking format these shows. Like I said, like I have no issue. I'm completely happy and glad we got to see this. Like, because it's been very clear that she left like that part of her life unfinished. Like it needed closure, and I don't know if this is what is that what happens, that she got her closure finally with Anakin and the Jedi Order. But I'm a little disappointed because to me so far that I like have perceived, I feel like the show has been illustrating a theme of like neutrality, of like not one side's not necessarily
working in the
evil.
gray sort of area. Yeah,
one side's not necessarily like good or evil. And that's Ahsoka operating in the middle, just like Baylan operating in the middle, you know, maybe towards the darker side a little bit or one towards the lighter side a little bit. But it seemed to me like they were operating like on somewhere in the gray, you know, but they were just against each other still. Yeah. And it seemed like she really just kind of tipped over the scale. And I'm kind of not disappointed. I'm just like, oh, like I figured that I thought she willingly left the Order because of the Order treated her, and that her eyes were opened up like other Jedi before her who left the Order as well, and realized that they aren't completely like in the right and didn't do everything correctly like how she so thought. You know, when you grow up, you see the fault in adults and shit, you know? Yeah. And it was just really weird because I just did not expect her to just like be, okay, I'm a Jedi, like I'm cool with it now, and it just seemed like she just kind of was more so embracing the Order type of thing. And like you said, like she graduated to Jedi Knight now and passed the Padawan stage that she should have done a long time ago, but she never had a chance to finish her training.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think that's a good point. I mean, I feel like it kind of works. I think what you were talking about, like working in kind of a gray area, not everything's so clear. I think that still kind of is the case because, I mean, even though like, you know, her training's complete now, it's still not like your standard training. Like it wasn't like a trial from the Jedi Council. So it's not like she's now, right. Forget me leaving the council. I approve of the council now. This was more of as a Jedi, not necessarily defined by the council, but just as a force wielder. She has grown. She's completed her journey more or something. She's moved to the next level. So I don't think it invalidates a lot of that, but it is not what I expected.
Yeah, I agree.
For
that's
sure.
What I would say. Yeah.
I guess they needed some sort of character growth because I mean
you're right.
We're in that part of the series where like it's the lowest point. She got to do something to overcome and become stronger and go fight the evil, the bad guys.
Like swim up.
The hero's journey sort of shit. So I guess this was what they were like, yeah, let's complete her training or something, and that'll be her thing that, you know, helps her, you know, surpass what she was before.
Well, it's really interesting to think about like the hundreds of the years of like how the Jedi have like kind of grown and transitioned into different versions of what they think a Jedi should be, you know?
Yeah.
Even thinking about it like from Sabine, like comparing like how they operate as a Jedi or maybe supposed Jedi to someone way back in the day, you know, which is it's just really interesting to me.
Yeah.
And just kind of makes me want to rewatch a lot of that stuff just to kind of, because the new trilogy, the sequels, they kind of talk a lot about that in The Last Jedi too, right? But
yeah, they kind of forsake a lot of the Jedi stuff, which was unfortunate because they really kind of go a very different route with how Jedi are viewed, which is a little bit disappointing because it seems like everything is still kind of leading towards that. But I guess we'll see. But I definitely agree with you there. It's been really kind of cool to see how it's changed over time. Because you could go watch episode 1 again and be like, wow, the Jedi, look at that. And now we're just like, oh, we only have a handful. And they're kind of just like barely there still, surviving and like still making it though. Like still fully intact with the Force and still like, you know, doing good. Yeah. I don't know. It is interesting.
What else we saw a lot of the General Hera and her son, which I heard his name in that episode. I'm like, cool, his name is just Jason. Like, awesome.
Jason, yes.
Yeah, but then I saw it's pronounced like J-A-C-O. Okay, I'm like, all right, that makes it a lot better.
J-A-C-N.
Just like Jason. It's my son, Jason, and Anakin.
Well, it's funny you say that because it's actually, I think it's a nod to the old Star Wars books before they were decanonized. When I think it was Han and Leia's one of their kids was Jason.
Oh, I think
they had several
I've
kids,
actually
and it
heard
was
about that.
his name was Jason Solo. So I feel like that's what it's a nod to, because I think it's spelled the same. I could be wrong, but I would not be surprised because it's again Dave Filoni doing stuff, and he's pretty on top of that kind of lore stuff. So
yeah,
would not be
paying homage
surprised.
to and stuff.
Yeah,
Seeing Captain Rex was fucking dope.
dude, yeah.
That
Like
was
jumping
so
a little
fucking
bit back
cool.
there, but yeah, that was cool.
I just looked down at my notes. I'm like, Captain fucking Rex.
Dude, yeah, that was hype. That was hype.
That was really cool.
It was. I think they even got like all the clone troopers sounded like they used to. Like they got what's his face to
Tamora.
do all those. Yeah, Tamora.
Really,
And
really cool.
Did a great job. It was nostalgic as shit.
I liked they did this a little bit in the Obi-Wan show where they show like the kind of the transition and transformation of like Anakin and Darth Vader, where they'll play the music or like hear his breathing or apparatus. It's so fucking cool and menacing, and they did a little bit of that in episode as well, and it's just great. Just class.
Some of those quick transitions. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah, it was just
It was on the nose, but it was like they were cool shots. They were hype.
For sure. Yeah, it's not like she was seeing Darth Vader like going back and forth. It's not like when he's Anakin, just like, oh,
Right.
Anakin, watch out, Darth Vader's in the room. He's somewhere
Yeah,
around
it's
here.
like not a surprise. She
just
knows
left.
already.
Yeah.
We all know.
Yeah,
But it
thank you.
was cool visually.
Yeah, it was.
So.
It was. I'm just really happy that we saw the Clone Wars, and it just made me think. I'm like, man, they could just do like Clone Wars shit, like a Clone Wars show. Like, fuck.
Hell yeah, dude.
That'd be so cool. I don't even know what the fuck it would be about. It's probably not
knows?
needed at all. But if I could just see some live action clones like just in the shit into the battle, like it'd be so dope. I'd make a fucking like a 2-part movie of like the siege on Geonosis and shit like that. Like,
bro, yeah.
that'd be so dope. Just follow a squad of like clones and stuff.
Dude, do Delta Squad from like the frickin' Republic Commando games.
Oh, that'd be
That'd
so
be hype as
fucking
shit.
cool.
I would watch the shit.
Yeah, they could
That
just
would be
make
so
a
good.
literal fucking movie about it. Just get Tamara Morrison to do all the fucking voiceovers
Exactly, dude.
or something. That'd be so dope. God damn.
But anyways,
Yeah.
this episode. What else we got? We got the space whales make a return. They
I was
they
so surprised and just kind of confused. I just like absorbed it. I'm like, I'm not gonna have an opinion because
right. I was like, this isn't what I expected. It makes sense, but it was not where my mind was going for what would happen this episode. But I was like, okay, this once they started mentioning that, I was like, okay, I guess that's the only other way you could get there. But it definitely caught me off guard. But for whatever reason, I don't know what they did, the music, how it was just like building. It felt epic as shit, and I was not ready for it. And I was just like, it was giving me like goosebumps, and I was feeling that shit. I don't know. They got in the freaking one of the Purgle's mouth, and it was just like, all right, we're going. We're gonna make this journey. We're gonna go save Sabine and freaking find Ezra and everything. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm all here for it. I was not expecting this episode, but I don't know, just something about it. I don't know. Music gets me, so it might have been just the music.
Yeah. It was really good. The ending was really cool. Whenever she was like still like she was talking to Hera on the ground, and she looks up and she sees those whales in the sky, and I'm like, are those like, what are those giant like wiggly like tentacles? And I'm like, oh, those are the whales.
Yep.
I just did not. I was just so surprised to see them just in the air like that. I had no idea.
And then just go right into space,
And I'm like,
Like, what
okay,
the hell?
just literal space whales. Like, all right, not gonna fucking ask any questions. Just gonna deal with it, move on with it, because it's fucking Star Wars, man. Weirder
Sometimes
things
it
have
doesn't
happened.
need to be explained, there's just some wild shit, and these space whales can go through hyperspace somehow.
Well,
I don't know how, but it's freaking cool. I don't know, who needs anything more than that? It's cool.
I can't say it won't impact my rating of the episode, though, Ken. So
That's fair.
they will have to
That's
deal
fair.
with.
We got to
the
be impartial.
consequences. No, it was pretty good. I want to give it a higher rating, but it was kind of didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I don't know if it's like, I would not consider myself like an average viewer. I'm like casual Star Wars fan, yes, but like, am I critical on things? I think so. And and I try to look for like meaning behind stuff, and I look for theming, and I look for like good dialogue, and I could not figure out what was happening a lot of the time and what the point was, and the whole training thing, and it's like, oh, your training's not done, like all that stuff. It just did not connect with me. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, so it's gonna impact it a little bit for me.
Yeah.
But it was cool. Yeah. It was really fucking cool, though.
Yeah. No, I agree. This was a bit of a roller coaster for me, because there was some interesting flashbacks which, you know, improved the rating, but then it was kind of confusing, so it brings it back down. The whole, you know, leaving to go find Sabine and Ezra, that was cool, but it was also not what I expected for this episode, so it brings it back down. There was the whole like our own like alliance. Well, the New Republic is now kind of like our enemies. Like they're the antagonist kind of right now, because they're trying to make Hera come back and like demote her. So like that kind of brings me down, because I'm like, that's kind of annoying. But like it worked out because they got everything done. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, it was flip floppy for me. I was like, I was feeling good, and I was feeling like what, and then like good. So yeah, it was a roller coaster.
I think I'm just gonna give it an 8.5 again.
Yeah.
I hate that because I loved seeing like the clones and stuff like that. I love seeing Anakin again, but like, I don't know. I just tend to find myself like overthinking because of the end of the episode, and I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck happened.
Yeah. No, I think that's I pretty much agree with you. I was thinking right around that area, like somewhere between like an 8 or a little bit higher, because I'm like, yeah, it feels weird because I keep giving like 8s or 8.5. But like that's what it's been. It's been solid, like all around, which I'm happy about. I was expecting a little bit more out of this episode, but you know, we got what we got, and I still really enjoyed it for the most part. So I think 8.5 is pretty damn solid.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising to me how like well you and I have been like on the same page with rating these episodes too.
Yeah,
which really surprises shit out of me.
Yeah, we've been right around the same part. I mean, it helps that the series has just been very solid so far. So
yes,
so we haven't had a lot to like critique and be negative about for the most part. We've been nitpicky, but
for like, sure, yeah,
but not in like a overly like, wow, this was stupid. Like, wow, freaking Leia was able to run away from these captors like there's a bunch of idiots. That's hard pass, bro. This series hasn't had anything like that so far, which is good.
No, there are a decent amount of stuff for us to talk about, but you're right. This has been overall, I think, like one of the better series they've had recently.
Yeah.
God, it's crazy to think about like all the shit they've just kind of like just let go to waste because of piss poor writing, you know, and effort.
Yeah, or
like,
where they've had to go with the story because they're restricted by what happens in the sequel.
Yes, and it's just like, and because of the sequels, they let it impact the story as well. And it's like, why do you need to like build an entire episode around some fucking dumbass fucking movie that I haven't even fucking seen? I've seen every episode of The Mandalorian. You know, I've seen a couple of episodes twice. I've ever seen fucking Last Skywalker Jedi piece of shit. Nope, never. I've only seen The Last Jedi once.
Somehow the Palpatine is returned. Who knows?
Somehow Palpatine is returned.
I'm sure you've heard that line despite not
seeing
the movie.
I played Lego Skywalker.
It's all
Saga.
over.
I know what happens in that movie.
That's funny. I forgot about that. But even besides that, it's a meme. I see it all over the place sometimes. Like when people mention stuff about Star Wars, and the sequels are like somehow Palpatine is returned.
Yeah, that's what I saw. All the memes everywhere about it whenever they were announced the new trilogy, man, that Rey is going to be part of.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, we'll have to see. I mean, it could be decent if it's like disconnected from most of this other stuff. Who knows?
I don't mind
I can't believe
Rey
she has
either.
to be the one that has to build up the Jedi Order, though.
Yeah. I don't mind.
Because it doesn't feel as earned. I don't mind her either. It just doesn't feel as earned because she wasn't involved for very long. I mean, neither was Luke, so I can't be too nitpicky. Luke was only a Jedi for a short amount of time too, all things considered.
Right.
I don't know what is different about Rey. We're going super far tangenty, but
Go for it. Fuck
we
it.
could
Do
do this all day.
Do it.
Like we could talk about Star Wars all day. It's just like I don't know what it is about Rey that it feels different. I don't know why. Maybe because she rejected it so much, or I don't know. It just maybe because she was just so naturally good immediately versus Luke had to struggle a bit more. I don't know. There's just a fine line somewhere that it just didn't vibe. I don't know.
Did not vibe with Ken. Writing that down. Okay. That's why you've been let go. Did not vibe with Ken. No, I think that's a great place to end this episode's review. We have 6, 7, 8. We got 3 episodes left. I'm really excited to see where it's gonna head. I cannot wait to see Thrawn. I'm so excited.
Dude, he's got to be in the next episode. Gotta be.
I hope so. I wanted to know what the fuck is like. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna find Thrawn and Ezra, and I'm like, where? Like, what does that look like? What is that gonna look like? Like,
what's gonna? I mean, they must be like they're behind by now, right? Because she was out for quite a bit, and then she recovered for like a day.
Yeah,
or something.
Run rotation,
so unless the space whales can hyperspace faster than that ship, they're gonna be behind by like a day or two.
Like, is it another giant, like, sanctum where it's a giant CG room? Are they lost in a jungle? Are they in, like...
Who knows?
Like,
that's a great question.
I don't know what that's supposed to look like, really, but...
That's the mystery.
Some
I guess
desolate
we'll find
planet.
out.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, but, yeah, thanks, everyone, for joining us on this episode. Let us know what you thought about it down in the comments, please. And we'll see you guys later for episode 6. But until then, bye, slugs.
Peace out.